My name is Zane Chams, and I welcome you to Chai and Chat with Chams. With me today, I have Sonia from Canberra, a interstate dancer who's been performing and dancing with various teams all around Australia. It's very lovely to have you here today, Sonia.
Thanks, Zane. It's really nice to be here, and what a beautiful space. Seriously.
Thank you.
I feel like artists their minds are in 100 places at once.
Yeah, 100%.
And even when you're like literally on stage dancing, you finish that performance, you're like, all right, what's the next thing?
Yes.
I don't know, when someone tells me no, I just take it as a challenge to prove them right. And even if someone says you can't do something, it's not that I take it and I'm like, oh, how dare you say that? Instead, in my mind, they've said, you can't do that. And I'm like, watch me.
Yeah.
And I want young girls growing up to feel like they can wear and dance in whatever way that makes them feel comfortable and empower them to do that, rather than, but you feel like, well, what will people think or say? People are going to judge me. Those kinds of things where I'm like, if that's what's holding you back, then girl, I need to get you out of this shell straight away. So like my parents came as immigrants to Australia, and their whole thing, and they came with very little. And then they just built, but it was always like, work hard. And that was like something that they had instilled in them.
Yeah.
And so that's what they instilled in us. And, sometimes some of my, Aussie friends will tell me like, why do you work so hard? Like, just take a break, dude. Just go chill out. No matter what negative, I get negative messages in my inbox all the time with people saying like, why do you wear this? And you shouldn't be representing Indian girls wearing a bikini top, blah, blah, blah. But I have such thick skin now that it just like bounces off. I was one of the only Bersey kids in my school in Darwin. They would say things all the time like, oh, you smell like curry, blah, blah, blah. And then this one kid, I'll never forget this story because it's like ingrained into my brain. I was maybe 6, and this kid walks up to me and he's pointing at my hand and he's like, why is your skin the color of poo? And I was like, you're right. It is.
I was a pretty round kid. I was a very fat kid. But, like Laddu from K3G.
Yeah.
That was me. I was,
really?
Yeah. I remember this very clearly. A kid once came up to me and said, where is your neck? And I remember being
so
like,
savage.
Yeah. Would you say you're a very strict teacher?
You'd have to
probably ask your students.
You should ask my students.
Okay. Cooking food. I have 0. I don't know how to make food at all. But chai is the only thing I can make.
Yeah, I knew it.
So yeah, whenever people come over, they're always like, Zane's making chai.
Yeah.
So.
People who live in Gold Coast are super centric and have very interesting opinions. Which I guess you don't feel as much in Sydney or Canberra because it's very, very cultural.
Yeah, I feel like this time passed by really quick.
It did.
I could keep on talking and things, but yeah, it was so lovely to have you, Sonia. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for visiting Brisbane.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll show you around a lot more as well. Check. Are we ready? Let's go then. My name is Zane Chams, and I welcome you to Chai and Chat with Chams. With me today, I have Sonia from Canberra, who's visiting Brisbane, a interstate dancer who's been performing and dancing with various teams all around Australia. It's very lovely to have you here today, Sonia.
Thanks, Zane. It's really nice to be here, and what a beautiful space. Seriously.
Thank you. One of the best things being a dancer myself is that I get to connect with people like yourself. And just before we were talking about, your journey and how you work through things and connecting with different ways about how you work. I must say, learning from other dancers, how they work, you get to sort of re-inspire yourself as well. When you got to, I'm sure when visiting all these states and things, you also pick up different things.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think the different states have such different styles of communities as well. And Brisbane's one that I haven't visited. This is probably only my second time properly visiting Brisbane. But it just feels like a family, which is, and I'm sure you probably get that a lot, but it just feels very homely. I'm originally brought up in Darwin, which is super tiny.
Yeah.
And so from Darwin, I moved to Canberra, but coming to Brisbane felt like a bit of a mix, and it felt like you could walk down the street and say hi to a neighbor. You don't get that kind of feeling in Canberra.
Yeah, it is very much a community. And I think one of the things which I know in our team, we always make it that, whether it was this podcasting team, and a lot of my podcast crew are the dancers from, a dance team. It helps because you get to find your home. And I know
Beautiful.
that a lot of people who are coming as international students and stuff, they need that.
Yeah.
What would you say are the major differences between each of the states?
I think in Canberra, because we're so heavy with public servants, it does feel a little bit like it's all quite money driven, and it's like who can climb the ladder the fastest. And because it's a small pond, you can climb that ladder quite quickly, but it also means that you don't tend to make those deeper connections that you might in a place where it's not so money driven. Sydney is just go, go, go.
Yeah.
Even if you're trying to climb a ladder, you're probably not going to have enough time to push someone down. You just need to try and climb it like, do or die. Darwin was very homely but very slow. Too slow for me. I'm a very fast-paced kind of person. I like to do a million things.
Yeah.
In Darwin, you're quite limited, just given that it's such a small place, quite far away from everything. I mean, being up in the Northern Territory.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite slow, but that's probably where a lot of people go and settle down and have families and things like that. Where else? Gold Coast was very interesting.
Yeah.
People who live in Gold Coast are super eccentric and have very interesting opinions, which I guess you don't feel as much in Sydney or Canberra because it's very, very multicultural over there.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And where do you think you feel it most is your vibe? And I say that now and also in the future where you see yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I imagine, you said that, this place is somewhere you feel like families settle down and things like that. And, our vibe or our energy throughout our years changes consistently. Like sometimes you want the, the Sydney, like the go, 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 which I feel like I can sense that's yours. But yeah.
I think for right now, I really love being between Canberra and Sydney. Definitely more so Sydney. I think I'm just in that hustle part. I mean, I feel like I've been hustling all the time and I don't know if that will ever go.
Yeah.
But it's, being very like self-driven and it doesn't take much to motivate me. Like I'm already thinking of what to do next. So Sydney for sure feels like the place that I feel most like as in the right space for me right now. And down the track, I think Canberra is a really good settling point. But honestly, Brisbane is slowly growing on me.
Oh,
the heat is maybe reminding me of Darwin, and Darwin is very hot.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can move past that when you see the community.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's funny that you mentioned that because for us, this is cold. Like this is the coldest it would get perhaps. And
this is the coldest it gets?
Yeah, it doesn't get too cold over here. I mean, there'll be a day or two where suddenly you're like, holy crap, we need jackets and stuff.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's not too bad. But yeah, we'll come back to actually the hustle culture thing, but I'll explain to you how this works. Okay. Basically, we have 3 cups, 3 different chais, all sponsored by the Chai Walli company. And so the idea is that when we're sipping the chai, it hopefully guides our conversation into wherever it takes us.
Okay.
This is very free flowing.
Yeah.
And every time after every few questions, when we're ready, we just keep on moving to the next chai. Sound good?
Love it.
Awesome.
Do it.
Okay. So the first one is classic Punjabi chai.
Okay.
So I'll serve you.
The cha.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What is your relation with chai, actually?
My relation with chai. So my mum is addicted to chai, even though she doesn't want to believe that she is. But if she doesn't have at least 1 or 2 a day, she gets headaches. I'm like, Mum, that's an addiction. No, she's just like, no, it's just good for you,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I relate to your mum then. Yeah.
But I guess chai is like one of those things where you can, at any point in the day, you can call a friend or a family member and say, just come over and have chai. And it's like, there's no strings attached to that. It's not like a sit down formal dinner. It's just like, just come over and spend some time with me. Let's talk.
Yeah.
And I just think it's one of those things that brings people together, especially in my family. Very easy to bring people together. If I say, I'm making chai, can you come over? They're like, sure.
Fair.
So yeah, I think that's bringing together. I think
do you mind if I ask where your roots are from?
No, not at all. So both my parents are from Kerala, so south of India.
Right.
But very interestingly, they both didn't grow up in Kerala. My dad grew up in Nagpur, which is like in the middle of India, and my mom grew up in Mumbai or Bombay. Yeah.
Where I'm from.
So at home they spoke mainly Hindi, to be honest, and I grew up with a lot more North Indian influence than South Indian, just based on the fact that they didn't grow up as much in the South. But they both speak the language. But
I see. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Rightio. Well, yeah. So I mean, Chai, I guess, has that thing where it brings people together, and I guess that kind of still relates to the whole idea of, even in dancing, bringing people together and things. One of the things I was discussing actually with my team before you're coming, we're going to hopefully have you teaching our team a few more of your style and choreos. But yeah, a lot of the youngsters especially, they find you very inspiring. I know on social media, like they look up to you and things like that. But with dancing, when you go around, because you obviously go international and stuff, how do you find that it unites? Because you go to Korea as well, which I'm sure the style of dancing and the style of how people work is very different. How do you bring people together there?
I mean, I think everyone having the shared interest and love in dance already helps, especially when, me personally, I take it very seriously. And as much as you have fun while you do it, I'm also super passionate about, the quality of dance. And so one thing I feel like no matter where I go, because this is already a shared passion amongst whoever I'm teaching, I don't find it very hard to keep them on the right track. I guess it's just understanding, especially for younger people, like, why are you dancing? For what's the reason that you're dancing for? What are your goals? How do you want to excel and become a better dancer? Whether that's the quality of your movement or just you as a person. Because some people will dance for maybe not the right reasons, which, to each their own. But I really want people to understand that dance comes from a very disciplined art form, because my original dance style is Bharatanatyam. And so I did my Arangetam in India and Kerala. So that was my first dance. So very disciplined.
I see.
Compared to what I do now.
Okay, in that case, we should definitely not dance together. Because I started with, actually, I fell in love with pop and lock. But then, that style was not very common, especially in Brisbane. And then I'm a big Shah Rukh fan. So then.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Yeah. I think to the point where every time I mention him, the team rolls their eyes. Last Diwali, we did a whole Shah Rukh set. And then this Diwali, I still try to push for a Shah Rukh song.
Yeah.
Let's see how that pans out. But yeah, it became mostly a lot of filmy Bollywood.
Yeah.
And a lot of, because I do a lot of first dances, choreoing and stuff, that the whole romantic thing kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Classic.
Yeah, good to know that I should never show you my dancing.
No, you have to. What do you mean? I'm not a popper or a locker. So look, I feel like there's always space to grow and learn. And no matter where I go, whether it's within Australia, internationally, I always try and do foundation training, different styles, just because it makes you a better, well-rounded dancer, but also appreciating and understanding where that style has come from. So yesterday I did a dance hall foundation class and this thing called Afro-Dia Step, which is like a mix of, I can't even understand what it's a mix of, but it's just so many different things all in a melting pot. And especially social media and the way we are now, we mix all these different styles into our choreography without really understanding where it even comes from. And so just understanding and appreciating, that movement and where it comes from. I think that's really important.
Yeah. And where did this, so you started dancing from a really young age. And then did you have any teachers or gurus or even your parents who kind of guided you in terms of dance and discipline?
Yeah, definitely. So my mom's a dancer. Okay. So I think she always wanted to do her Arangetam when she was younger, but she didn't get the chance. So I think when she had a daughter, she was like, well, I'm going to get her to do that instead. Yeah. And so I was very privileged in the fact that my dad was more of the discipline, like studies, and mom was like arts. Like we love arts, and they wanted me to be more of a well-rounded individual. I guess they did see in the community a lot of kids were just study. Yeah. And I'm really lucky that I wasn't just study. It was more like, well, maintain all your studies really well, and then you can do all this other stuff. Yeah. So I was like, done. Yeah. If I do this, you mean I can do all of these other things? Then, so she would push me and drive me all over. Darwin all over the state, internationally, always pushing for me. So I'm very lucky in that sense. My mum is like my number one fan. Even now, if she comes to a concert, she's filming it like she's never seen the routine like 100 times before.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's really good. I mean, I got to see a lot of times, like especially the youngsters in our team. They do have very supportive parents and stuff, but then sometimes they have their own challenges where it's still, you'd imagine now it might have changed, but still now, no, beta, just study this. There's nothing in this.
Still the same.
So that's actually perhaps a good segue into sort of asking you about your journey. I know you said that we were having a chat before, that you're very much about working hard, hustle culture.
Yeah.
Whenever someone says you can't do something, you're like, yeah, sounds good. But then you later go home and you're like, I'm going to prove this person wrong.
Absolutely.
And where do you think that stemmed from?
Where did it stem from? Probably, I mean, as much as my parents let me do like arts and things like that, they were still very disciplined. My dad comes from an army background in his family, so he's very straight to the point. But I guess it was always managing the balance between studies, which is important, and everything else. And so I always took it as a challenge where, my dad still wanted me to get 100% in my math test. And I still wanted to choreograph 3 dances for, the Diwali function.
Right.
And so I guess that was always a challenge and a balance that I was trying to maintain because I wanted to do everything. And I think that just kept building and building. And I don't know, when someone tells me no, I just take it as a challenge to prove them right. And even if someone says you can't do something, it's not that I take it and I'm like, oh, how dare you say that? Instead, in my mind, they've said, you can't do that. And I'm like, watch me.
Yeah.
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 And I think it's like a quiet humility that I think my parents instilled in me, to not be showy, but just to show by example rather than speaking it. You know what I mean?
100%. I mean, look, unfortunately, I'm very majorly influenced by Shah Rukh. And so it's always been like, I'll show you, I'll show you that I'm the best sort of thing, but not in a very pompous way, in a very
yes.
I will wake up in the morning. I will be like, okay, this is how my day is going to be. I'm going to show everyone that, remember that time you didn't believe in me?
Yeah.
And then, when they come back saying, we always believed in you and stuff, like it grinds my gears. But at the same time, I know that they're not coming from a bad place either.
No.
Yeah.
They're coming from, society has, framed them to think of dance as like a hobby.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've had like, oh, that little dance thing you do.
Yeah.
And I had that growing up my whole entire life because I would take dancing very seriously. And so I was learning various styles of dance, and I also did like calisthenics and gymnastics. And so I was taking all of that really seriously, but the way that they would put it is, like Sonia's a great dancer, but it's just a little hobby.
Yeah.
But now I'll have those same aunties that, look down on me and like, shame. They will come to me and say, oh, wow, we see the videos that you're putting out and you're traveling internationally. That's so like, well done. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I proved you wrong.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's also another good segue into sort of asking you about, because obviously we're in a Desi culture and a lot of aunties, and generally also like a lot of people, they have this thing about, women being in something like this and dance, and also in various styles, especially like when you sway away from classical, where they might look down upon it. I'm sure that would have been a challenge for you as well.
Oh, absolutely. And it's still a challenge even now. And it's one of those things where, that whole log kya kahenge, that whole saying is definitely something that my parents felt about maybe some of the dance styles or things that I wore. And it's not that they look down on me at all. If anything, they're like, no, we just want to protect you.
Yeah.
But it's trying to explain to, and it's still a journey that I'm having with my mum, even now, because she loves me so much. She doesn't want people to think badly or, even like the whole evil eye thing. She's like, I don't want people looking at you like that. But I'm trying to explain to, my mum and even aunties when not that they ever say anything to me, but I know they're thinking it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not about what I'm wearing or how I'm dancing. It's how it makes me feel. And I want young girls growing up to feel like they can wear and dance in whatever way that makes them feel comfortable and empower them to do that rather than shaming them.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that whole connotation of, even item songs being in a negative light, it's like, but why? It's a girl who's dancing beautifully, by the way, wearing beautiful outfits, showcasing a different dance style that maybe that you're not comfortable with. So maybe you should change your perspective on what you're looking at rather than judging what you see. That's a challenge that I feel like I'm still trying even now, but we're getting better.
Yeah, I would say
Um,
so. I mean, look, one of the things which I can definitely tell is, your presence on social media and otherwise, like when people look up to you and feel inspired by you, they start to realize that, if you love what you're doing as much as Sonia does, then you should just go for it. But do you ever get also these personal interactions with people as well, where you sort of, because I'm sure when you're teaching people, you'll get those people who might be initially shy,
yes.
but then you have to break them out of their shell.
Oh, all the time.
Or I've noticed sometimes when the song starts
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a different person
Yes.
completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and I feel like I've worked with many classes where people come in and if it's like a heel style, which can definitely be more of that like sexy, sensual, just having fun with it really, but they feel very, not ashamed, but they feel very shy and vulnerable because it is a bit of a vulnerable space for them to be in. And so what I try to do is make it feel as comfortable for them as possible. And I'm like, you take however long you need to come out of this shell, but just know like I am pushing for you to come out of that shell because I can see that you want to, but you feel like, well, what will people think or say? People are going to judge me. Those kinds of things where I'm like, if that's what's holding you back, then girl, I need to get you out of this shell straight away. So I try to make it a very warm and comfortable environment. And I've been very lucky and blessed that I've had students, that I've taught for years come back to me and say, like, thanks to you, I felt comfortable enough to dance the sexy dance that I wanted to do and not feel ashamed that I was doing it. And that makes me feel really, really good because it's not that you're dancing to prove anything to anyone. You're dancing for yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you would understand that.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful because I think one of the biggest things dancers feel like is, or what's been ingrained in them that, that dancing is just to, when your parents said, oh, beta, dance karo for your uncle and auntie and stuff like that. And it eventually became a source of like validation or saying, to entertaining other people. It never really was ingrained into us that this is for your personal expression.
Yes.
So I think that's very, very much true. And when they come back to you a lot later, you start to realize the impact. Until then, you're kind of like, I'm not sure how much of an impact I'm creating.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's very true. And I think when you when you first start, like step your foot into teaching, you're figuring out what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And then down the track, you start to get these people sending you messages and, giving you cards that have these beautiful messages in them. You never thought that you actually like empowered them to feel that way.
Yeah.
But I was hoping that this is how they felt when they left my class. Like I never wanted someone to feel defeated when they left a class, and especially in a class setting where it's about, yes, growing and getting better and becoming a better dancer. It's not about it being perfect though. And I think a lot of dancers these days feel that pressure, especially in, those bigger commercial classes. You feel like you're in there, it's like an audition.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I never wanted my classes to feel like that, unless it was if it was an actual audition space, then I'm definitely going to put my discipline hat on.
Yeah.
But in just a casual workshop, I want you to come in, feel good, feel like you left the room with something, not, I didn't get the routine perfect, so I'm a bad dancer. Like that's, defeating.
Yeah, I guess that's also the idea which I had with this podcast, right? Like a lot of times, obviously I want to make it big and I know myself that, this has to be the biggest thing, etc. But the idea is that, even from the thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that do listen, even if you can have 4 or 5 people walk away inspired, your job is done.
Yes.
And, and in the meantime, I'm having fun doing this. I get to, meet amazing people and connect and learn about things which I might not have known. And also, the viewers can learn about you guys as well. So I guess it's all about that impact which you can create, even if it's just in a few.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, and I think the message that, your podcast has will only make it grow and grow and grow, but it comes from such a beautiful like meaning, like the mission and vision. When you were telling me about it, I'm like, that's really beautiful. And I think starting with that really strong foundation only means good things will come from this. So
thank you. And I'm very glad to have you as one of our first few guests as well. Let's go on to our next one.
Let's do it.
Okay. So the next one is 11 Spices Chai.
Okay. I love these little cups, by the way. They're just so nostalgic.
Thank you. Yeah, I got them from, I recently went to Jaipur actually for a wedding. I had to MC for that one. And then when I
That
was
makes
there,
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It is. My more favorite one. You know, it's funny because so chai's I always joke around with my friends that I have a lot of talents, but cooking food, I have zero. I don't know how to make food at all. But chai is the only thing I can make.
Yeah, I knew it.
So yeah, whenever people come over, they're always like, Zane's making chai.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know what's funny is in my family, I'm the person who makes, apparently everyone likes my chai, but I was just trained by my mom. Literally what happened is she taught me how to make chai because, well, she wanted someone to make chai other than her.
Fair.
And she would call me up, I'd come home from school and I'd be whatever, playing around. And she would call me up from work and she's like, I'm going to be home in 20 minutes. She never wants to ask me to make chai. She just wants me to know. Yeah, because, if she asks, then she feels like she's burdening me. But telling me 20 minutes away means make chai.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I pretty much made chai every day for years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And yeah, just became. And now, even now, my parents will call me and they say, oh, we're in the area. Like, we'll be there in, 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, I'll make chai.
Oh, I see. Yeah, my mom, so I'm very similar to me now, I guess. My mom in the morning, very cranky. So I know if I wake up early to go and train at the gym and stuff. But before I leave, I'm making chai, being like, I cannot have her yelling at me early in the morning. So I'm making chai to make sure she simmers down.
Yeah.
Damn, that sounded rather traumatic. It's actually a good thing.
No,
like,
I would do the same thing if
Yeah.
I've if we've had an argument or, thought about something silly, I would just make chai.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, Mom, I made you a nice hot cup of chai. And she's like, everything is fixed.
Yeah, exactly. It's our way of saying, hey, I love you.
Exactly.
Remember that,
Without saying I love you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's like how, I'm not sure if this is the case with you. It's like how parents, especially like the older generation, they struggle with saying sorry and stuff.
Yes.
So they just cut fruits and keep it next
Oh,
to you.
yeah.
Something like that.
My dad's a classic one. He's very stoic and, doesn't talk a lot, but whenever he talks, it's like, quality.
Yeah.
But if he wants to say sorry, he won't say sorry. He will just buy me like a new dress or make me my favorite dish or, take me out somewhere, but without saying sorry. And I'm like, okay, so he feels bad.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly.
Understood.
But words, they struggle with words, I guess.
They do.
So were they very good in terms of expressing love and things like that?
My mom was very, very, very good. I would say she's one of those like overbearing, I love you moms. And I love that because it just means that I've become that kind of person now.
Yeah.
My dad would say I love you. I think it didn't come as naturally to him, but I think he would see the way my mom was with me and my brother. And he would try to emulate that. So he's become a lot better now. Like I think over the years, even in birthday cards, so he wouldn't even write in them. My mum would write and then write from mum and dad. And then over the years, like now he writes like full on paragraphs. And I'm like, where does this come from? So I think like they can change as well. And I have faith that, our parents' generation can change. I'm not sure about the generation above them, like our grandparents. I think that's.
Yeah, that's sort of a struggle. I do agree though. Like my parents, I've noticed my dad, he's become a bit more senti over the years.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I grew up previously and, saying I love you and stuff. It's a bit weird. I mean, I said it to the girls I dated, but like never to my own parents. Cause then if I said that, they'd be like, is this guy okay? Is everything right?
Exactly.
But yeah, over time it's gotten to the point where dad's like, you don't call me often enough. Cause my dad lives overseas.
All right.
So I was always like, okay, I have to call him often now. Like,
Yeah.
things have
I
changed.
feel like as they get older, like they're definitely changing. And I remember my dad said something and I said, you're so sensitive. And he's like, yeah, I am. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know what to do with this now because we haven't gone into this territory before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice. Like it's nice to see that they can change and grow. Especially when, you're probably used to a certain thing when you're younger. And then personally in my family, I was a bit of the rebel. I'm not sure if it's rebel's the right word. I just wanted to push the boundaries because my brother was more of the goody two shoes. So I'm like, and he's my older brother. So I'm like, dude, this is your job. Why am I doing your job for you? You need to be going to parties and doing, naughty things. But he wasn't really like that. He didn't really like parties. It was just like a family boy, wanted to stay at home and study. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to break this barrier myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, it's funny because like I did that. I was the one who was always picking the battles.
Yeah.
And I guess that's just like an artist's mind.
Yes.
My sister, on the other hand, who's younger,
Yeah.
She's the studious one who, whenever I talk to her, she's always like, yeah, I don't understand your lifestyle of what is this? Like for her, it's like go to work, come home, spend time with friends or watch TV.
Yeah.
I don't every time I watch TV, I just feel guilt.
Yes, me too. Oh my God. The guilt from watching TV, or if someone has to tell me like watch a movie, I'm like, that's 2 hours. That's a lot of time that I could be doing other things. I don't know if I can do that. So TV, I'll still do like an episode.
Yeah.
And then I don't feel as guilty, but the guilt is a bit hard. I don't think it's a good thing.
No, I don't think so. It must come from somewhere of like wanting to always just prove or, something like that. And so I guess this is like a good path to go down, because how do you then plan your like year, weeks, days, months? How do you go about that? It's
a little chaotic sometimes. And my mind is all over the place all the time. But I tend to try and have like 2 or 3 big goals that I want to try and achieve in that year. And so through those 3 big goals, they will normally have like some smaller milestones that I need to meet in order to get there. So I think at least if I start the year with that, normally those 3 goals turn into 10.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where am I? Am I in Singapore right now? Okay, sure. But I think having those 3 goals helps to try and hopefully keep me a little grounded, to not try and do everything. And as I've gotten older, I've tried to say no. It's very hard and I feel guilty every single time, but I just realized that I can't do, as much as I want to do absolutely everything, I can. Would it be giving my 100% to all of those things? No. And so I've started to realize, maybe I shouldn't say yes to every single thing. Maybe try and manage my time better and energy, because you just end up burning out.
Yeah, yeah. I guess at a young age, you're always sort of trying to prove to yourself, and you have to like show that this is who Sonia is. But then after you reach that point, especially like as you grow older, you're like, okay, it is okay for me to not do something, not say yes to something, not do a show. Although, yeah, I do get what you mean that, later onwards, I know myself. I'll be like, should I have just done that?
Yeah. All the time. And especially with a lot of like community events, which they do have quite a lot of community events in Canberra, Sydney. I used to say yes to most of them. And then I would try to be doing the community events alongside, more of my professional teaching troops and crews and things like that, alongside my normal like choreography that I do for regular classes, alongside my day job. It becomes too much. And then trying to manage having some downtime, and gym is really important to me as well. And so I just would end up doing it for 3 or 4 months and then burning out.
Yeah.
And then doing it again and then burning out. So I'm like, well, I need to, because when I burn out, then I'm losing time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I guess I have 2 questions from there then. Like, how did you, every time you burnt out, what was your reset? Like, how did you reset? Because I know some people, they might say that, I take a holiday or something like that. Or some people, they just say need a day. Like for myself, like every time I feel like I'm reaching burnout, I always just, for one day, I just go and sit by the water or something. And then I'm like, okay, we're good. I just needed this. Or, it could be just a friend who you really like are close to.
Yeah.
And then, the next day I go back into planning and how do I rearrange this so then I'm not, killing myself at the end of this week, because it can get pretty crazy.
It does. Yeah. I think, being in Canberra, water is a little bit far away. But what I end up doing is when I burn out, it's normally I will like get sick. That's normally, even if I'm like mentally burnt out, like I'll still keep pushing. But then, when the body is like, girl, you're done. Like take a break. So what I'll tend to do is I'll actually just have a whole day of just being at home, which is very unlike me. I'm normally not at home. Yeah. I'm normally all over the place, and I just go home to sleep.
Yeah.
So I'll actually spend the whole day at home and do the things that I normally would feel guilty doing. So whether that be watching a movie or, I don't know, like having like a bubble bath, making myself like a hot cup of tea and just like sitting with a book, just doing things that I would normally not do because I would either feel guilty about doing them or not have enough time. And I'd normally just take the day and I'm like, I'm not going to feel guilty. Even though in the back of my mind I do feel a bit guilty, but I'm like, I'm not going to feel guilty about doing these things because it will make me feel better. And then tomorrow I'm going to start my new plan. I'm going to rearrange things. But that's tomorrow's problem. I need to just try and I think I feel like artists their minds are in 100 places at once.
Yeah, 100%.
And even when you're like literally on stage dancing, you finish that performance, you're like, all right, what's the next thing?
Yes.
And it's
Gosh.
like, you should live from the high of that performance, but you're not. You're like, okay, what's the next one?
Yeah.
And so I think, I'm trying to get better at taking a moment, appreciating what you've just done, which is something, super big. Almost like congratulating yourself
Yeah.
before moving on.
Yeah. I think this year I've definitely made an active step in that as well. Like
Yeah.
I know that previously, you'd do something and you'd feel excited. And I always tell people that thrill of that 1 hour after a show, like, oh, I just emceed for it. You'd sing. I feel like the king of the world, this and that, stays for about an hour max for me. It's not even a day anymore. And then you're kind of like, okay, like what's next?
Yeah.
I remember when we just had dinner 2 days ago, and it was you who said that, I now like, are you at peace? And I was like, I was telling everyone that I don't know what that means anymore. It's been 7 years for me where I've just basically like, work is the only thing I know. You're happy, you work. You're sad, you work. You're angry, you work. And I know that a part of it has come from obviously childhood, but also a part of it has come from like idolizing particular people. Like I have people who I look up to. There's Shah Rukh, or whether it's Zakir Khan, the comedian, Conan O'Brien. A lot of that where it's always like whether it dictates my style of talking to people or also how I just go about with life. It's always been, okay, no matter what, like whatever happens in life, the only thing that'll stick by you is if you work hard. And I don't see myself as a person who has too much talent, but I know I work my ass off. So.
You're very humble. You're very, very humble.
Trust me. Hey, when I dance, you'll be like, you're right. Hard work is probably
no,
the thing.
sure. But I think that's just like the basic upbringing, right? Like our parents, I think especially like my parents came as immigrants to Australia, and their whole thing, and they came with very little. And then they just built, but it was always like work hard. And that was like something that they had instilled in them.
Yeah.
And so that's what they instilled in us. And, sometimes some of my, Aussie friends will tell me like, why do you work so hard? Like, just take a break, dude. Just go chill out. And I'm like, that's not something that naturally comes to me. And I mean, you should take a break. I'm not saying not to, but I think something I've seen in South Asians in general, is that we're so super hardworking, and it's not something that we have to really think about. It's just something that we do, and I think that's instilled from our parents. But I'm not obviously that comes with its pros and its cons,
Of course,
because we do really well in terms of academically and within businesses, and there's so many CEOs that are South Asian. It's amazing.
Yeah,
but it's like that's all instilled from that work hard.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, there are pros and cons to it. Sometimes, it is important to sort of step back and be proud of what you've achieved.
Yes.
Things like that. And would you say, I guess this is a good question to segue from that, which is, would Sonia from 10 years ago look up to the Sonia now and be like, damn, I'm very proud of you, girl. Like, you did this.
That's amazing. I've never thought of that. So that's a really cool thing. I absolutely, which is crazy to think that, even now I've done lots of things and gone lots of places, but I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. So many places, like I can do so much more. But 10 years ago, if I was seeing what I'm doing now, that would be like a dream. I wouldn't think that I would be doing what I'm doing now. And that's a really good question.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the, I mean, I often wonder, right? Like if I could go back in time to Zayn 10 years ago, what would I tell him other than, gosh, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. But
you
like,
and me both.
Yeah. But you would still say, whatever mistakes, whatever good things that happen, do them, because that makes you who you are.
Well, and not to sound, cringy or corny, but I really truly believe like everything happens for a reason. And as I've gotten older, I've always tried to remind myself, but it's, there are scenarios where you just feel so hurt or defeat from something that you thought was going to happen, didn't happen. And I try and remind myself now in those sad and hard times, I'm like, it happens for a reason. It happens. And it always ends up happening for a reason.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just got to trust the universe, trust that, what's meant to be for you will come to you. But it's hard. It's hard sometimes. But
yeah. I know when you're in the moment, you're kind of like, okay, I don't know if I can see the bright side of this. But do you feel that, because I would genuinely believe that the power of a human is, the best asset of a human is when you're in deep shit.
Yeah.
Like the kids say. How do you see it? Do you see it in a positive light? How are you going to tackle it?
Yeah.
How are you going to be able to laugh at it.
Yeah.
Or even sometimes I always tell the youngsters that like I have this conversation with God, any God, being like, man, this is kind of funny. You put me in a very interesting situation. How am I going to get out of this? I guess you're going to have to help me. And then you sort of just put a positive spin on it, and then you keep going. So
I think for me, I feel like, and this is things that people have told me, is they're like, you're an eternal optimist, aren't you? Like you'll always see the bright side, even if it's like you're literally stuck in a pile of flaming shit. Like you will still, and I don't know what it is. And I think maybe it's just seeing my mum and the way she's dealt with things, and she's always got quite a positive spin on it. But in my mind, I'm like, well, what's the point of seeing the negative? Like, okay, I focus on the negative, then what? Am I going to get anything from that? Or am I going to try and see, is there a silver lining? I'm sure there is one. I might have to just like search through this little tunnel. But I do feel like there is always a positive to the worst things that can happen to you.
Right.
Even like if you think of, you know, like you get fired from a job. I know like that can feel really, really, really hard in the time, right? Like you're like, oh, I didn't do good enough, or, you know, I wasn't good enough for this workplace. But see it as an opportunity to, well, maybe this was time for me to grow and change. So I personally, and it can be hard sometimes to always think positively, because sometimes you can just sit in your emotions, but I tend not to. So probably something to work on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's so important to remind yourself that, you know, whether it's the good or the bad times, this too shall pass.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
You got to remind yourself.
I love that saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember just saying it to my friend 2-3 days ago that, you know, as much as you feel like you're going through a hard time, just remember 2 months down the line, 2 years down the line, you'll laugh at this.
Yes.
And you always got to remind yourself that you ride this wave of things just not working out your way, but then eventually they will.
Yeah.
Like, things will be good. And you remember now to enjoy that.
Yes.
Because even that too shall pass.
Yes, yes.
And I guess that also relates to what we were talking about before, that when you pull off something great, or, you know, you do it, you know, in your case, quite often where you're doing something amazing, you sit down and you're like, enjoy this.
Yeah.
Because I know myself and I'm going to work hard for the next thing. But you got to just enjoy it. And because you know this too will also pass.
Yes.
So, yeah, very interesting. I know that recently we had like a big performance for here, and it was for India Day Fair. And I remember everyone was just emotional and happy and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time where I was like, I'm not going to go home and start working like the next thing. I'm just going to enjoy this. I'm going to message people that I appreciate and love them. And the last 1 week, I tend to yell quite a bit. So I also apologize. But yeah. Interesting. Would you say you're a very strict teacher?
You'd have
should probably ask your students.
You should ask my students. I think there's two modes to me. And so a lot of, if I'm doing just a regular class and it's just, you know, you're coming in and casual class, you've come in to like wind down from the day, do a bit of exercise, something like that. That Sonia is very, very chill, very happy, very easygoing. It's okay if you talk a little bit in class, given it's not too loud over, you know, what I'm saying, but I'm okay with that. But when it comes to a proper performance class, I definitely am very strict. And I think that's come from my gurus growing up. Like my Bharatanatyam teacher would throw anything in her vicinity at me because I was naughty. I was definitely a very naughty kid. So whether it's a stick, a shoe, a book, and I would like try and dodge it, and it became a game at some point. But because she's instilled this, like, you know, when I'm talking, you listen. Yeah. And if you talk over me, that's you disrespecting me. Yeah. So I think that's like so ingrained in my body that some of my students that have gone from a casual class to a performance class, they're like, you're kind of scary. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to seem scary, but just don't talk over me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm a teacher, like I'm a civil engineer, but I teach civil design. And so I sometimes find I bring that into my practices. Like when I'm talking to people. See, most of the time, choreography wise, I get some of the other people to do choreographies and things. So I do it mostly when, you know, Bollywood season hits, and that's when I'm choreographing. But one of the biggest things I find is that, you know, my teacher side comes out where, like, you know, if I'm talking, because I make sure that if someone else is talking, I will never talk over them. Absolutely. There is always mutual respect. Yes. Like, and that's something which is ingrained from childhood, that, you know, you always have to respect everyone. Yeah. Like, and when I'm talking to someone in my team who's young as 14, 15, or who is older than me, it's always that mutual respect. Although sometimes I'll be fun as well. Like I bought a water gun actually to practice once.
I love that.
And every time someone made a mistake, I shot them. And they got their revenge
Every
later.
time someone-
Yeah.
I need to do that.
Yeah, it's very fun. But at the end of it, once the performance happens, they're very sneaky. They will plan how to get revenge on you.
Ah. But do you feel like, in those dance sessions where you are quite strict and, at the time, sometimes people walk away and they're like, oh, it's not like, we don't have to be so serious about it and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, can he take a chill? Because I feel like it's happened to me where it's like, Sonia doesn't need to be so serious, but then you do the performance and it executes the way you wanted it to. And then they come back and they're like, thank you for being hard on us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so now people have started to understand, you're not being disciplined or hard for no reason.
Yeah.
It's like, because you care about what the, end result is and how they dance and how they represent. Because especially if you're a choreographer, and a lot of the work that I do is choreography, I want to make sure that people are dancing to the best of their ability, but they're representing me.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that they're doing a good job at doing that as well, because I think it's really important that mutual respect is understood.
Yeah.
And I think, as I've worked with more and more students regularly, they really see that part. And so if I'm a bit hard on them, they're like, we know there's a good reason for this.
They now know why.
Yeah.
Like I always tell people in advance that I'm actually pretty chill and stuff. And my whole idea has always been like, we create this family spirit and stuff. But I always say 2 weeks before a big performance, I message them saying 2 weeks, that means asshole Zane's coming back.
Yeah.
So that means like if you fuck around, I feel like I might have to cut that out. If you mess around at practice, then like you will see the worst of me.
Yeah.
And I have had, people cry and things, but at the end of it, it's always like, thank you for pushing. And like, it's that feeling. And so now it's kind of like, now that they understand that, they have a bit more respect that, okay, if he's being mean, it's probably because it means something.
Yeah.
Because, you don't want to let the team down. You don't want to let each other down.
Yes.
If someone's working hard, they're practicing 5 days a week. You want to practice that. And that also inspires me because I know that when I'm, leading or teaching or whatever, then I have to also learn the choreos myself.
Yes.
But I can't do that during practices. So I have to, call one of our dancers later on, or it's on a different day being like, I need to learn everything. Real quick.
Yeah. Because you want to like show up and represent.
Yeah, exactly.
What
and
you're
you don't want them to be like, why, he's pushing everyone. I don't see him dancing. Yeah. Like they know that this guy's working day and night, like in other things and, making sure this happens. But you also want to make sure that no one feels that anyone's letting each other down.
Yeah. But do you feel like this younger generation are softer when it comes to receiving, constructive criticism?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Because I feel like they're like, I was not like this growing up. And if I, was as sensitive as I feel like some of them are, that wouldn't have been allowed.
No.
It's very interesting space that we're in now.
I very much agree, actually. And, it's so funny that you say that. And I know the youngsters are going to kill me for this, but I know that, often I think about it. Like I always say that you guys are way more talented than I was when I was younger. But, it's crazy because I know that someone was 2-3 years older than me or, so, a leader for something or anything like that. I would never, roll my eyes. I would never be like, dude, relax. I got this sort of thing. Or,
oh my God.
Yeah. Now, like, to the point where now I make sure I talk, like everyone has their own, I guess, love language. So I always, with my team, because I know them a lot more than just team members now.
Yeah.
I try to make sure I speak to them in their language and understand them. But I have noticed that with the younger generation, it's a lot more, if I'm pushy or if I'm too strict, they might not show an immediate reaction. But when they, in their drinks breaks and they go off into their little groups, then I know that Zane is not being spoke of very highly.
Oh, yeah.
So I always wonder, I'm like, oh, but when it's their birthdays and stuff, they know how loving I am and stuff. But like, I have noticed that, and I don't know where that comes from, to be honest. I guess this generation has a lot more confidence, which is good. But I don't know what the word is. I guess I don't want to say respect, but
I feel like they're not forced to be as resilient.
Yes.
Because they're probably not facing situations that we did.
Yeah.
Like even things like bullying and stuff like that. It's obviously very outspoken to not bully someone now. Whereas when I was in school, it's like bullying is just, you just deal with it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I was one of the only Desi kids in my school in Darwin. Right. So I was the only like little brown girl who wasn't, Indigenous. And so they like they would say things all the time like, "Oh, you smell like curry," blah blah blah. And then this one kid, I'll never forget this story because it's like ingrained into my brain. I was maybe 6, and this kid walks up to me, and he's pointing at my hand, and he's like, "Why is your skin the color of poo?"
Wow.
And I was like, "You're right, it is." And I went home and I said, "Mom, why am I like this? Like, why did you make me like this?" And she's like, "Better, like, you're beautiful. Your color is beautiful. And this comes from a rich tradition." And she obviously, made it, like, did a very cute spin on it. But I remember thinking, like, damn, he just said that, like, I kind of look like shit. Which I'm like, but those things, like, I can laugh about it now. Of course, at the time I felt very sad and shocked. But I think it's like it builds that character in you, and it makes, like, I've got really tough skin, and social media, another thing that, like, no matter what negative, I get negative messages in my inbox all the time of people saying, like, "Why do you wear this? And you shouldn't be representing Indian girls wearing a bikini top, blah, blah, blah." But I have such thick skin now that it just, like, bounces off.
Yeah, that's a question which I was wanting to ask, actually. Although let's get onto there eventually. I do think that it is very much resilience is the right word, because I mean, I went through bullying in my school as well, although lovely school and all, but back then you almost blinked an eye. Like, I know now when someone says something, everyone's like, "Oh, wow, he just said that," or "She just said that," which is a good thing probably, but in hindsight, it did make me have a lot thicker skin. It did make me sort of be like, and it goes back to the thing where, if someone, like, right now, if I say, "Hey, like, I feel like you're able to do more, you're just not able to match up," or you're not pushing yourself hard enough, with myself, or like how we were just discussing, it's always like, "No, you're right. I'll prove you wrong. I'll do it."
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like, "Yeah, I guess you're right."
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "No, prove me wrong. Like, I want you to say that, no, Zayn, I'll show up. I'll make sure that I do this." It's kind of almost you know what? You're right. Like, I don't have the talent. It's so easy to demotivate someone compared to motivate someone.
Absolutely. And one thing I saw when I was in Korea is we were in this class, and we were working on a piece together, and one of the girls, she wasn't getting the step right. And the teacher was very, very strict. Just think, like, you think Indian parents are strict, like Korean dance teachers, next level. And I'm listening to all this, half of it's in Korean, half is English. So I'm like trying to figure out what she's saying. But clearly she was yelling at this girl saying, "Get it right." And the girl starts crying. And so I was like, "Oh, dude," like, she's crying, and she's a grown woman. She's not young. She's, like, well into her 20s, almost 30. She starts crying. And the teacher's like, "All right, let's do the routine again." But she just started crying. So I'm thinking, shouldn't we get a tissue? And so we're like, "Okay, I guess we're doing the routine again." And the girl's crying, and then the teacher's saying to the girl, "I understand that you're crying. Just keep doing the routine. Don't let the tears get in the way." I was like, damn, this is why, I mean, you see some of the K-pop groups, and they're incredible. This is what's built them. So I think we're like on either side of the pendulum here.
Yeah, very much true. Because I think, like, I've had to learn and adapt to, this is what I'm used to. In fact, my phone cover, my, is it computer screen? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's always just, "You can do better than this." Like, push yourself.
Is that your background?
Yes. If you see it, my friends, like, people in my team get horrified, being like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, no, for me, I need, and then maybe it's parenting or whatever, but, like, I need that sort of reinforcement that, like, you can push yourself, you can keep doing better. Because I feel like that's what gets me motivated, where I'm trying to not prove anyone else wrong anymore, but, like, prove to myself that, hey, I can do this. What do you mean I can't do this many shows in a weekend?
But I think that's I personally really like proving yourself right or wrong or whatever it is, because even in terms of, like, going to the gym or doing this, it's sometimes, my mum will say, "You don't need to go to the gym today. Just take a break." And I'm like, no, but this is something that I've set for myself that I want to make sure that I do. And I want to show up for myself. Because if I can show up for myself, then I will show up for everybody else. Yeah. But I got to do it for me first before. Otherwise, I'm not presenting my best self to you. I think they're still slowly understanding that. But I think it's.
Yeah. That fitness is obviously, like, a big thing which is for you. And also it's very well intertwined into dance.
Yes.
Where do you see fitness in terms of your journey, especially with dance?
Ooh, yeah, that's a big one. I think
And also, where did it begin? Actually, is also another.
Yeah, it began at a very young age, not from a good experience. I was in ballet, and the teacher would do this thing. We're very young. We're probably like 6 or 7. And when it came to doing costumes, she would line us up from not like shortest to tallest. It was from smallest to biggest.
Right.
And so as each term went on, you would see yourself like moving up the line. And I'm like, oh, so I guess I'm bigger than this girl now. And it was like,
Gosh.
I mean, it's fine. It's like a body dysmorphia,
Yeah.
like punching you in the gut
Yeah.
at 7. But I wasn't a big girl. Like I was a very small girl growing up. And then when puberty hit, that's when, hormones are flying all over the place. And I put on a little bit of weight and I moved from Darwin to Canberra. So Canberra was obviously a lot colder. You want comfort food. I discovered mee goreng and ramen. So, I was very good at making that for myself every day. And so I put on quite a bit of weight, which any teenager is normally like going through those motions. But I remember this auntie said to me, we were at like some function, and she compared me to another girl who was similar age to me and said like, oh, you're looking like her now, but not in a positive way, like in a very negative way. And I think I was 14 at the time. And so growing up, I was dancing, never doing any kind of fitness stuff, just dancing and sports. And then she said that to me, and I remember going home and I told my mom, like, I'm joining the gym.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. So it started from a very negative place. And then I've been like going up and down in terms of, I was just like a cardio bunny and just doing treadmill and, abs and just trying to get as skinny as possible. And then I finally came around to a point where I'm like, I'm going to kill myself if I keep doing something like that.
Yeah.
But finding the beauty in strength training, I think like changed, like my body composition just completely changed. And it was sustainable and it was something that made me feel good. And now it's gotten to a point where like now I'm just trying to better myself in terms of my physique because obviously I'm a dancer and, I wear certain types of outfits and I want to feel good in them. But I never want someone to feel like, oh, they should look like me or they should. It's like you should, feel good in your body because I think that makes you feel like when you're dancing, you dance better.
Yeah.
But endurance wise, if you strength train, if you run, doing like you can dance for longer.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I think fitness wise has been like quite a crazy journey. I still have that voice in the back of my head, no matter how lean I might get, or it's like, well, you could be skinny, you could be leaner, you could be stronger.
I get that. I think that's when that relates to the whole bullying and thick skin thing. Because I know for me, I'll show you a picture later. I was a pretty round kid. I was a very fat kid, but. Like Laddu from K3G.
Yeah.
That was me. I was,
really?
Yeah. I remember this very clearly. A kid once came up to me and said, "Where is your neck?" And I would remember being
so
like,
savage.
Yeah. And like it's not even an auntie, so it's not coming from a bad place. It's just a fellow friend. And I was like, oh shit, I'm kind of fat. and it got, I know we're laughing about it, but I remember
you're gonna cry later.
No, I remember running down this hill, and like, oh gosh, every time I think about it, I was running down this hill, and I was quite fat, and I just tripped a little, and then I just rolled, and so, and then when I landed at the bottom, I was like, yeah, I may need to change this whole thing, and then I had like a very love-hate relationship with gym and stuff after that, because then obviously a lot of that affects you, and then I went crazy into the gym, and obviously then, whether it's been a lot of ups and downs in relationships and things, and that was good motivation. And I remember coming back with abs, and I was like, yeah, this is abs.
Yeah.
And then later onwards, I think COVID obviously that kind of affected a lot of things where I went the other way. And then it's only been at the start of this year, and to be honest, it's been only 4 months where now I don't skip a day. Every morning at 6:30, no matter what time I sleep, I'm training because strength training is important. And also what you said about like training in a particular way, especially for dancing. Like I know a lot of hip hop or like Tabori style and stuff. There's a lot of explosiveness you need to do. So like a lot of box jumps, a lot of things like that tends to help me.
Yeah.
Because I was doing a lot of strength training, but then I was like getting leaner and better physique. But I was like, I need to help myself in dancing.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to a lot more like cardio type of work.
Yeah, right. finding what works for you, right?
Yeah.
I think I got stuck in a cycle of doing like the bodybuilder diet where it was like chicken and broccoli
Yeah.
and like, doing the split and almost like working out like a male, but I'm not a male, I'm a female, right? So I need to like train in a way that's going to be good for my body. And, there's like, we have a cycle as females have a cycle and it's hormones all over the place. So you have to train in a certain type of way. I think it took me many years to figure out what was good, what worked for me. And I think COVID was also one of those ones that like my brain kind of switched. And I mean, COVID, I put on weight and I didn't feel good about myself, but I think you either went one or two ways. You either like lost a ton of weight or you gain weight.
Oh gosh, I put on so much weight.
Yeah,
I remember post-COVID, people were like, "Who is this guy?"
No, I show a picture. I have to show you a picture later.
Yeah.
But there's this picture where my head looks like a basketball. I feel like it's like the shape of a basketball. And so I came back into it with this like newfound thing of I'm going to try and find what I also enjoy doing. Because I think sometimes people will kill themselves in the gym but not enjoy it. It's like, well, are you going to sustain that?
That's the thing, right? It's a lot of it is a lifestyle change. It's not just a diet. Or
No.
Like I hate that word when they're like, "Are you on a diet?" And stuff. It's like, no, I want to sustain this long term. So if I have to eat pizza, I will eat pizza.
Yeah.
But I'll also make sure that I plan it out where in the next 2 days I'm not pigging out with other stuff.
Yeah, sustainability and finding that lifestyle balance between, because I'm a big foodie. I love food. So my motivation most of the time for the gym, apart from looking good and things like that, is like I want to eat what I want to eat. In balance, I'm not saying like I'm eating pizza every night, but I love trying new restaurants and eating out and eating at my parents' place. I don't want to feel guilty every time I eat.
Yeah.
And so I train in a way that I can fit those things in. And so then I can enjoy a happy lifestyle balance. Because there was a point in my time where I was just eating really, really clean, bland food. And I like seasoning. Like, brown. Like I love seasoned food, curries and naan and all that kind of stuff.
Gosh, I'm so glad we can relate on so many things like this. Because I remember there was a time when I was, when I was like, oh, I'm going to get abs. And I did. But then after that, I remember every time I saw chicken, I hated it.
It's me with tuna.
Yeah. I did not want to eat chicken at all. I was like, this is too much.
Yeah.
But then, now I've sort of made sure everything I do is very sustainable.
Yeah.
Although I do not eat out very much and I avoid fast food as much as I can. But, especially when you're in this industry, you're out all the time.
Yeah. And also being in this industry, you're on display.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'll see videos back from performances and I'm like, oh, I don't look my best. And even other people will be like, you look fine. I'm like, that's your opinion, which is totally valid. For me particularly, I want to feel good about what I'm putting on display. So that's what's that is definitely what keeps me in the gym.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it now as well. Like I enjoy the process.
Yeah. Like you always have to figure out that love-hate relationship to the point where it's helping you and, it's healthy.
Yeah.
And whenever you need to actually sit back and say that, maybe I don't want to eat like super healthy today.
Yeah.
Fine too. Being a foodie is probably important. Gosh, okay. We got to ask more questions about being a foodie. And
yeah.
Actually, let's continue with the next chai first and then.
I know. I was like curious about this last one.
So this one is called Golden Chai.
Smells nice. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, this is my favorite.
Yeah, this tastes most like comb. Oh, damn. Yeah, this is nice.
I really like this one. I mean, I've liked all of them so far. I think the first one's like your classic and you'd get that in like if you go to an Indian restaurant, you have chai.
Yeah.
The second one, like I really liked all the different flavors, but this is like very homey.
Yeah, I thought the second one would have been my favorite one because a lot of different spices. I'm a Mumbai boy, so that's what I thrive on. But this is actually really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know how we had previously discussed that, with the younger Sonia 10 years ago, look at you and be very proud. Then I guess my question is, the current Sonia talking to the Sonia 10 years from now, if you were to send her a message or talk to her, what are things you'd be asking about? What are things you'd be really curious about?
Ooh, these are very deep questions. 10 years from now, Sonia, I would say like give yourself a pat on the back, because I'm sure going at the rate that I'm going now, I'll still be doing this for another, at least 10 years. I think I give myself until like maybe like 55 to then slow down. Maybe.
Right.
Maybe. I'm
don't
sure
think
I
that's gonna
won't.
happen,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I used to always joke around with my friends that, yeah, I'll go to Hawaii and change my name. And but I went, I think, once for a holiday in Bali.
Yeah.
And 2 days later, I was like, guys, I need to be back.
Yeah.
I need to.
Yeah. I tend to find the same thing when I'm on a holiday, and if it's going for too long, then I'm like, I could be back doing other things.
Yeah.
But yeah, 10 years from now, Sonia, I think I would say like give yourself a pat on the back. Also, like you've probably made it really far, and maybe just like think about the achievements that you've managed to do. But then honestly, I'd just be like, let's plan the next 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's nice to reminisce on things of the past, but I just use that as motivations for things for the future. I don't like to live in the past, and regret is not something that I try to have. I'm sure we all have regrets, don't get me wrong, but what is regret going to do? It's hopefully whatever that thing is that you regret is going to teach you a lesson to not do in the future. That's at least again, eternal optimist over here. So
yeah.
trying to find a silver lining.
I wish I learned from my mistakes, but yeah.
No, but sometimes those mistakes lead you down a different path. And I think that's happened to me so many times where, I've maybe been in a job where, and this actually happened quite recently, just last year. I was in this job where I was, my day job, where I was kind of killing myself, just working ridiculous hours. And for me, my day job has never been about working ridiculous hours. And as much as I wanted to climb that ladder, my day job's always been to funnel all the things that I want to do for my passion. So that's dance and then the arts. And that started to take over. And I remember feeling miserable because I was trying to keep up with that, but still, of course, still trying to keep up with all my dance things. And I reached a point where I had to kind of make a decision whether or not I continue in that job. I remember thinking, well, but this job makes me good money and, it's gotten me to a certain status. But there was this other job that was on the market and I was put forward for it, but I was going to be like a lower tier. Pay was still going to be the same, but that title was going to be different.
I see.
And I remember thinking, well, we all, especially as dancers, we have a bit of an ego.
Yeah.
Can't help it. Just comes with the territory.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if it means that I'm going to have a slightly better work-life balance, maybe I'm going to have to take it. And I remember at the time I thought, like I'm going down, like as a female in this, IT, very male-dominated industry, I'm like, I'm taking a hit. But it ended up being the best decision I could have ever made.
Yeah.
So yeah, just stuff like that where I could have regretted making that decision. And at the time I thought, am I making the right decision? But I thought, just go with it. And that allowed me to then, I made multiple trips overseas and my work supported it as well. So I don't know, regret's a hard thing. I try not to live in that space.
Yeah. And as one shouldn't, because, they shape who we are as a person. I guess a lot of your decisions, there would be obviously a big influence from your parents and upbringing and things like that. But were there particular people who inspired you, dancers or even public figures who kind of inspired you and shaped your journey in terms and your personality as well?
I mean, I think Madhuri is like, she was that stoic figure and she was always very poised, always spoke with so much respect and dignity. Definitely looked up to her from, a dancing perspective. Of course, she's a beautiful dancer, but I liked the way that she showed up. She always very humble. I felt like in her interviews, she showed up with so much humility, which maybe some other actresses didn't show up with as much, but I just felt like she was so grounded as a human. Obviously so successful, has done and gone on to do so many different things, but I just felt as a human being so grounded, I was like, that's the kind of person I want to emulate. But I mean, if I'm being honest, it's my mum.
Yeah.
My mum has, come from not a lot and made such a big name for herself and been so successful. And she's now just retired recently. And so she's finally like enjoying, the fruits of her labors. But seeing the way that she handled difficult situations, and she faced a lot, especially coming as an immigrant, in the early 2000s, I felt like, wow, I want to I want to try and be like my mum. I
Mhm.
want to show up in the way that she does and see the way that people respond to the way she speaks. So I try my best. I'm not saying I'm the best, speaker or anything like that, but I try my best to emulate that and always remember that your words have an impact. And especially how you make someone feel from those words
Yeah.
is such an important thing, because I've been in so many situations where someone's spoken to me in a negative way and it's affected you,
Yeah.
right? Like you walk away and you're like, damn, oh, like, maybe it's something that you did wrong, but it's the way that they conveyed that message. So
Yeah. From the start of this conversation and before as well, like I've got this energy of just understanding about life, but also a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of humility, which I get from you, which is very like, um, I understand the impact I have, whether it's social media, whether it's hearing, you know, things on social media or hearing things from particular people or aunties or judgment from everywhere. And there's a lot of that. But then how do you balance that? Because I do believe that the arts field, we do have an inner like pride to make ego sound better, where, we have this thing that, I'm pretty good sometimes. Like, at least the way I see it is, I always joke around with my friends, like, oh, please, I'm the best. But then, like, that's just been like my witty side. But then, in reality, I'm like, damn, I have no talent right now. But, there's like that double-edged sword. But where do you sort of sit with that, and how do you work through that? How do you remind yourself to like stay grounded, stay humble?
Yeah.
Sort of learn what you've learned from your parents.
Yeah.
But also try and impart that onto the younger generation, especially how we spoke about where they have their words are not as much controlled, nor is their resilience the best.
Yes. I mean, I think don't surround yourself with yes people. And there was a point in my life where I had a lot of yes people around me, and they would always say like, you're the best and you're awesome and blah, blah, blah. But then when tough times came around, they were nowhere to be found. So I think I've surrounded myself with a group of people who do ground me. That includes my family and friends. But keep me grounded. They'll feed my ego a little bit here and there, but not the way, like social media is such a it really puts you on this pedestal, and I can definitely, and I've been around, lots of people that are part of social media, that when it gets to your head, it's not it doesn't do any good.
Yeah.
And so just seeing that and taking that as examples of, oh, I shouldn't do that. And if I ever felt myself feeling a certain type of way, and there've definitely been moments where, you're kind of riding the wave.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn, like this is, invigorating, and I guess catching myself before it gets too far. And I think that's just one of those things where I'm a thinker. I think a lot. I'm a planner and a thinker, always thinking about 10 million different
Thinker
things.
or overthinker?
Overthinker.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely overthinker.
Yeah, I kind of figured so.
Yeah. So if there's something that I've said or done, and I, maybe it's not something that I normally say or do, I think about it and think, and I'm like, why did I say that?
So you said you're an overthinker. So I'm guessing when you get, out of 100 comments, I'm sure you'll get, those 2, 3, 4 comments where there's a lot of negative things. Do you hone in on the negativity?
I would love to say that I don't, but I do. I'm getting better. I definitely feel like I would think a lot about those negative comments. Like, why did that person say that? Am I not dancing good enough, or am I representing my people in the wrong way? Like, I would overthink like that. I've gotten to a place now where I look at it and I kind of chuckle and laugh to myself, because I'm like, no, there aren't any bad people per se. It's like people that are in bad situations, or, maybe they're having a bad day. And so they felt the need to release that on the internet, which keyboard warriors do better.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I just think I try not to let it be that deep, because like social media is a platform to showcase different varieties of skills and things like that. But it's also, and I feel like a lot of people on social media need to know this, that like social media isn't real life.
No.
You know what I mean? And so I will actually get people who will only ever follow me on social media, and then I'll meet them years later.
Yeah.
And they'll actually, like, I've had multiple people say, oh, I thought you were going to be really scary, or, oh, you're actually kind of nice.
Intimidating. Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, you're actually nice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you realize that when I'm dancing, like that's a character.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's an art form. It's an expression. That doesn't mean that's how I am in day-to-day life.
Yeah. That's actually a very interesting path to go down, because I know that the difference between social media and actual personality, people find that very difficult.
Yeah.
Because I've got that often where people like, I thought you'd be a little intimidating because,
Yeah.
you know, obviously social media was there, and because of like my humor is very much down the path of wit and
Yeah.
things like that. You know, I'll always write, you know, the song will be, you know, I'm the best and stuff like that. But then in reality, I don't think that at all.
Yeah.
Or even in emceeing, you know, you're on stage and you have like a different character which you're playing,
Yes.
or in theater, you're playing a different character. But then when I talk to people, like, I mean, I talk to the youngsters in my team, and they initially, like, I kind of wish actually it stayed like that, where initially they're very like intimidated and
Yes.
scared. And later onwards, I'm being told, Zane, can you shut up? And so I'm like, damn, maybe that character seemed better. But
Yeah.
that there's people don't see that difference.
No.
To the point where you almost want to like remind people that, hey, that's me as
Yes,
well, but this
yes.
is also me.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and I'm like recently I've been trying to talk a little bit more to the camera on my social media page. Just because I feel like when you're looking at my profile, like obviously I'm a dancer. It's very obvious that I dance.
Yeah.
But people tend to forget that that's also a human being.
Mm,
And I think that element is forgotten a lot of the times because they're just looking at performances that you do.
yeah.
So I do a little bit more talking to camera and just like talking about things that matter to me, because like we're all multifaceted humans, right? There's so much more to us than just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Dance is a big part of my life. It's not the only part of my life.
Yeah.
So even just talking about fitness or talking about, you know, from a dancer's side, like trying to tell the younger generation, like go and do foundation training, make yourself a better dancer. Like TikTok is great and you can become big on there, but also like care about the quality of movement. So stuff like that where I'm like, social media isn't actually real life.
Yeah.
Even though I'm on social media a lot. So it sounds so hypocritical for me to say. But
yeah. Look,
yeah.
as am I. Now I'm very prevalent on social media, but I know that it's a big thing for me that like I remind myself that it doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
Because you
it's
go
not
at
that
like,
deep.
yeah, exactly. It's not that deep. That's better. Because I remember when I went and people like, oh, you must feel like a celebrity and stuff. And I was like, two things. One is, I mean, I'm trying to expand it to Australia, but right now it's only in Brisbane. And I said the second thing is, even if a person or two might recognize me, they're not putting like food on my table and stuff.
Yeah.
They kind of just like, oh yeah, isn't that the guy on stage I saw? And that's about it.
Yeah.
They couldn't care less.
Yeah.
But there's such a big juxtaposition between like what people assume you are, and sometimes they can pass judgment very easily.
Oh my gosh.
And I know as a girl, it would be a lot more because, you know, passing judgment is not just now like like one target audience. There's the aunties, there's the guys, there's
Yeah. That I think that's a really hard path to navigate, especially in the space that I'm in, when it comes to like a heels dance style, which can be like very sensual, and people just making judgments based on that dance. And I've even had like parents of, you know, girls that are 16, 17 that would come to my classes. They would say, oh, I'm not sure if this dance style is appropriate or if she should be doing this. Like, I think I should take my, you know, daughter out of this class. They've never said it to me personally. They've said it to obviously the director of the dance school. And I said, well, would you rather her be in this super safe environment where we're just dancing and having fun and she's learning from everyone and nice safe space? Or would you rather her be out drinking at a party?
Yeah.
And so when I've tried to pose this question to aunties as well, where they're like, oh, don't do this or don't do that. And I'm like, well, think about it. Really, when you think about it, we're just dancing.
Yeah.
It's again, not that deep.
Yeah.
And you're just having fun. But wouldn't you rather the younger generation be in a space where you're actually made to feel empowered wearing certain things, rather that like at a party where we've all been there, you're being judged on what you're wearing and what you're doing. And you know,
yeah, exactly. Because judgment is going to be passed regardless of where you are. Heck, it could not even be dancing. You're just posting a picture and there's a judgment being passed. I'm sure you could always turn around to them and be like, I turned out quite okay, didn't I?
Yeah.
Like, so what is all this judgment about? And I think you're doing such a tremendous job in like sort of changing that whole narrative. I know that it's not going to be like straight away. It'll take time. it'll take generations.
It will.
But even if you you can change just a few people's minds,
Yeah.
you're taking a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the younger Sonia will be very proud of that.
Oh,
So
thank you.
yeah. But yeah, I guess that is a lot of what I wanted to ask from you. I'm sure there's a lot more, but we have limited time. But I'm sure, hopefully we go out for dinner later and things like that. I'll keep on picking your mind and things. But is there anything which you would like to ask? Any questions?
I mean, I guess, why did you start this podcast?
Okay. That's a really good one. So for me, it was a natural step. I used to do theater and then dancing and emceeing. And for me, emceeing is what I'm known most for. But I love making people happy. Yeah. Whenever I see smiles, when I'm cracking jokes, when I'm even running a dance team, like when I'm doing the talk at the start, I make sure I crack jokes. I love the idea of seeing people smile. And so I knew I had this thing about making people happy, connecting with people, and also being friends with a lot of people and well connected. And I was like, where do I channel this? And then, the whole podcasting thing sort of came into my mind, where I was like, this would be nice, where I get to meet someone and connect with them, but also that person can now connect with a lot more people, and they can know how we were talking about that, that social media side and the real side of someone. And they're all just as real. Because then there's also the side of you which is at home, which is probably cranky. And then there's another side of you which is and all of those, I always joke around with my friends that I have many different personalities. But yeah, to the point where it's probably a disease. But I always say that, that's so important for me, that, through this podcast that we get to see a more visible side of you, where, the sort of the journey you went through, the struggles, the people who inspire you, the, comparing yourself to where do I see myself? Where did I come from?
Yeah.
And I think, genuinely, if we can even get a few people being like, you know what, I need to get off my ass. I need to work, or, everyone's going through their own journey. I know that this, I can say from my own dance team that, there's international students who go through struggles. There's youngsters who are battling with their parents about their passion for dancing.
Yes.
There's so many different struggles you get to see. We're going through our own struggles. But then if they can derive some degree of motivation from it, I think the job is done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And that was kind of my idea always with podcasting. That, and also I just have a love for chai. So it's just an excuse, really.
I love to talk, so thank you for inviting me on here.
No, I feel like this time passed by really quick.
It did.
I could keep on talking and things, but yeah, it was so lovely to have you, Sonia. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for visiting Brisbane.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll show you around a lot more as well.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to a lot more friendship, a lot more dancing, and of course learning dance from you tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, before you go, we tend to do this thing where we get you to sign one of our cups.
Okay.
This.
Side of it?
Yes.
Here?
Yes. Thank you so much, Sonia. Thank you so much.
Hi guys, so I hope you enjoyed that chat. If you want more chai and chat with Chams, please make sure to like, subscribe and follow for more, and I just know he's going to have some great guests on here, so yeah, stay tuned.